Oh boy, we got a special edition today. Ha ha! Alright, yo, what's up, what's up? Good morning. This is another episode of Respond React. This time I have a special guest, my boy Avery from Chopping It Up Geek. Introduce yourself, my man.
What's going on, everybody? It's Avery of the Hollow Chopping Up Geek fame. What's going on, everyone?
Check it. Look, today on Respond React, we figure we're going to get somebody who is show enough down with the comics, man. Like, dude has this encyclopedic knowledge, and hitting him up so he can tell me and also tell you guys what's going on with DC Rebirth. So as far as you can tell us, man, what is DC Rebirth?
DC Rebirth is DC Comics trying to reset continuity, reality, the universe, if you want to call it, to pre the New 52, which started in 2011, following the storyline called Flashpoint. So DC is going back and trying to establish continuity back to the Earth or the universe that was established from 1987 following Crisis of Infinite Earths that ran all the way up until 2011 when New 52 came into existence.
Word.
So it's going into back to the previous pre-existing universe with a couple of inclusions or blending from the 52.
That's a good way to get into the inclusions. Now that they're resetting everything, what are they keeping from the New 52?
I really can't say that right now because it just started. Like, the only thing they released was DC Universe Rebirth #1. So it's basically like a kind of like back when Infinite Crisis came out, they had that $1 adventure that kind of set up everything for what was going on with Infinite Crisis. This book is doing that.
All right, so let's go on and get into that issue. Give me a rundown of what that issue is like, and let me know whether you're feeling it or not.
Well, basically, the issue starts off with you have a voice talking to you, talking about their past and graduate from high school and just different stuff in their past. And one thing, the words are in black, but the box is in yellow and red. So if you know anything about comics, those are the colors that the Flash wore or Kid Flash wore. With the mostly yellow costume with the red outline and reverse with the Flash. And as you go on, the visual you first see is a clock, the inside of a watch, the gears, and all of that. And so the person is talking about they had a lightning rod to ground them. Me being a Flash fan, I know about that with Wally and Linda. Linda Park, his girlfriend, and then became his wife, was his lightning rod that brought him back to Earth every time he would go a certain speed and end up blending with the Speed Force. And if she wasn't there, then he would be stuck in the Speed Force. So it basically talks about how he's trying to get into contact with Batman because he's the world's greatest detective. And he can figure out what's been going on and how the universe had been altered by some outside person. So basically, after the first few pages, you realize the person talking is Wally West. And Wally West has been gone from existence in New 52 since it began. Because they began with the Flash as Barry Allen, but there was no sign of Wally West. And so they're basically trying to establish, as you read on, that Wally got removed from the universe. And Wally's trying to tell you that it won't Flashpoint that reset the universe. It was something even more powerful than the events from Flashpoint.
Oh, okay.
And by doing that, we cause heroes to forget certain aspects in their lives or different things that happen. And Wally somehow got blended with the Speed Force, and people forgot about him. So Wally's trying, as it moves on, to make contact with certain people. Every time he does, Speed Force snatches him back, and he tries to get into contact with Batman, but Batman doesn't remember him. And Wally gives him a clue about a note from his father Thomas Wayne, which I think, because I hadn't read Flashpoint all the way through, I think it's left over from the Flashpoint story.
Oh, yeah. From the Flashpoint storyline.
Yeah. Because when Flashpoint happened, when Barry went back in time and prevented Professor Zoom, aka Reverse Flash, from killing his mom, it altered the timeline. And in that timeline, Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's dad, ended up becoming Batman versus Bruce Wayne becoming Batman because Bruce Wayne got killed in that timeline versus Thomas Wayne and Martha Wayne, his Bruce Wayne's parents. That's one of the big things that they show. And then they also give you a history of Wally, and then they show a picture from Flashpoint and how Flashpoint changed the universe and stuff. But then Wally makes a clue like there's something else that's still 10 years from it, and you just see this giant hand. Honestly, that's it.
As far as being like kind of like the introduction to all this mess, how do you rate it honestly as a comic, as an introduction? From 1 to 10, how would you rate this?
I would rate it as an 8 because one thing that I like, they picked a good artist for this book. First of all, the visuals, Van Skeever, he did Green Lantern Rebirth and Flash Rebirth, so things are very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say he did Identity Crisis 2, I think, as well. So,
which is a great storyline.
Yes. So, I like it. Wally tries to contact several people. He tries to contact some old gentleman. I don't know who he is, but he was a Justice Society member, to try to get him to remember stuff.
All right.
Another section of the book shows some woman with blonde hair that's been arrested by the police, and she has a Legion ring, and the police have taken from her with the evidence bag. Superman of the 52 Earth has died, and people are coming to grips with that. And also at the beginning of the book, it says this book takes place after events of Justice League 50 and Superman 52. So you kind of need to read those two first. So I might go back and get those just to figure out what's going on. Then they show a young student working for Ray Palmer. He's been missing, and one of the deans has been looking for him, looking for Ray Palmer. The student goes to find him, but he happens upon a videotape message from Ray Palmer saying, "Come find him in the microverse." He gives him a shrinking belt, and he's like, it's a link to find him. And he tries to give him a warning, like when you first get to the micro universe, you'll meet someone, and before you can finish the sentence, it cuts it off. Then somehow Ted Kord is alive. He got killed right at the beginning of Identity Crisis, well, one of the pre-books in OMAC project.
Yeah, and the OMAC project, that was a dope story. That was a real dope story.
Yeah, that was real dope. But he's alive. I don't know how he is. And he's talking to Jaime Reyes, the current Blue Beetle. And Jaime wants the scarab on his back removed from him. And then Ted Kord's like, we'll talk about it more. And Jaime has to go to school. Then Dr. Fate just shows up. And Ted Kord don't know who he is. And I'm like, well, the old Ted Kord worked with Dr. Fate before. And Dr. Fate tells Ted Kord, like, you don't know what you're dealing with trying to remove this scarab. And Ted Kord's like, it's just alien technology. Dr. Fate's like, no, the blue scarab is not a piece of xenotechnology. It was a lie perpetuated by the darkest of sorcerers. You're not playing with extraterrestrials, you're playing with magic. And then it goes on to something else. Looks like they show Damian Wayne looking down at a birthday cake for his 13th birthday. Then they show some female Green Lantern with a Green Lantern symbol over her right eye. Looks like she's trying to talk to Hal Jordan. And she's not looking forward to working with Muslim Green Lantern. His name is something Shabazz, I forget. And then a couple panels shows this black kid staring at a mini aquarium in his room, a fish tank, And his mom is like, yo, it looks like it's his mom. It's like, we need to talk. It's not in the nature. It's not natural what you're doing. He's like, what are you talking about? What I did at the lake? And she's like, swimming like you do? No, I'm talking about the boys. So they're establishing that the guy's gay because he said, it's not boy's mom, it's a boy, as in my boyfriend. And all of this is who I am, even if I don't know why. So there's a lot going on. Then they show some female running for some reason, and she just disintegrates. And then they're showing Wally, he's about to get integrated into this, get absorbed into this Speed Force permanently, and it's painful. It looks like he's about to die. And they show some woman saying, I know Diana's secret. Mother told me before she died. Diana had a twin brother born on the island the night we were. I guess they're talking about Wonder Woman. I'm not sure. And then the woman is holding some infant with glowing eyes, and it says his name is Jason, Father. He is out there in the world. He has great power, like you, Darkseid. It looks like he's holding like a baby Darkseid, reanimated. Then they show like this crater, and everyone is looking sad and despondent. Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Vixen, the Teen Titans, Firestorm, Martian Manhunter, Steel, Green Arrow, and I think it's them dealing with Superman being supposedly dead. They show Green Arrow and Black Canary, and Wally's saying how they don't even know that they were together before that, but they had some weird spark in the eye they can't explain. And then they showed the Superman from the previous Earth, from the pre-52 Earth. They had a comic book established that he was still alive, trying to take care of some enemies unforeseen. He and Lois were still alive, and with their son, somehow they have a son. And he gets some random black dude with a hood and a sickle appears to him and tells him, gives him an ominous warning that there are some evil things about to come and some things that his family won't believe. Then they show Aquaman proposing to Mira. And then they show Linda Park, and Wally finds her, and he actually connects and comes back to Earth. But the problem is she doesn't remember him. And because she doesn't remember him, he gets absorbed back into the Speed Force. They show two heroes in Gotham, some weird emblems, saying, hey, it's the back signal, and the male says, if one's a male, one's a female, it's not for her, it's not yet. They show Swamp Thing in the swamp with John Constantine arguing, and then they show little flashes of Wally trying to appear to different people that he remembers, Captain Boomerang,
wow,
Big Stone, Cyborg, and then Dick Grayson. But they don't remember him, and he keeps getting absorbed back into the Speed Force. But then the next thing that happens is there's another Wally West. And it says, my father, Rudy West, had a sister and a brother, Aunt Iris and Uncle Daniel. I was close to Aunt Iris as I was as far as Daniel. My Uncle Daniel had a child, a cousin I never met. We were both named after our great-grandfather, Wallace West, and they're showing a black kid. I didn't want to believe it before, but I knew it. I knew that this Wally West was struck by lightning too. My cousin's connected to the Speed Force like I am, and they show him saving some girl almost about to get hit by a car. And so he figures out that he has super speed powers. And then they show Barry in action, and Wally finally appears to him, and he's like giving his last right speech. And Wally's telling him thank you for everything he did, for inspiring him as a hero and helping him out. And he's about to get absorbed into the Speed Force and say his final goodbye, but somehow Barry remembers and grabs him, and Wally gets returned to the regular universe. And then they hug, and Wally begins to tell Barry that we need to get to work because there were friendships and relationships that people have forgotten, and they need to know about the history changing due to Flashpoint. And then they show Batman in the Batcave, and he finds a letter from his father. And when he pulls the letter off the wall, there's the smiley face pinned like the comedian wore in the Watchmen with a drip of blood on it behind it. And in the epilogue, they show Earth off in the distance. and you see it fanning out to different planets, and it looks like Mars, and you see a watch, and then it falls and breaks, but then it puts itself back together again. So basically, if you watch the Watchmen movie or read the Watchmen book, you know that Dr. Manhattan was on Mars, and they showed him rebuilding and making the watch because his dad was a watchmaker. And you see the watch, the numbers and stuff, but then the background changes to the yellow and black, almost like the Watchmen symbol, or the smiley face from the comedian. So that's how it ends, and then you have a big splash page with all of the heroes that's going to be happening in DC Rebirth.
Yeah.
Like a big splash page, kind of like how they did at the end of Infinite Crisis when that ended.
All right, cool.
And then you have a page showing the covers of the new series that'll be coming out, all the number ones and stuff. And Action Comics and Detective went back to their original numbers.
So now, quick question: did you happen to be at any of the midnight events?
I didn't even know about any midnight events, so I didn't know about any of that.
As far as like midnight events that I can remember in a long time, this is one of the first in a long time that I've seen, where people were like, I was getting pictures from, comic book stores in like Philly and Virginia Beach and stuff like that, and just crazy lines, and like people were, pretty excited for this. You know what I'm saying? And I guess it's...
The only other event I know where there was a long line like that for it was when Superman died. And people were lined up trying to get copies because back when the Superman Got the Steel storyline took place, people thought that they could buy a bunch of comics, save them, and then 15, 20 years later catch them in and pay for their kids' college tuition. So if that happened again with this, I don't know if it's more about the monetary aspect or it was the fan excitement that the original universe was coming back, because since the 52 started, I've heard a lot more negative than positive reaction to it. So I don't know if those midnight parties were due to fans excited that the original universe was coming back or due to people thinking they can get some money later on down the line. Or it could have been a mix of both, and I didn't hear.
Well, yeah, that is interesting, because there was that whole thing about DC saying that they weren't going to, there was only going to be one print of this, and that there wasn't going to be any more.
They sold out and saw how much money they made, because I was there at the comic book shop on, not Thursday, but Friday. Was it Thursday? I was there the day after, I think. No, I was there Friday. And I had a chance to buy one of the regular cover DC Rebirths, and I didn't because I was at a comic book shop up in Northern Virginia, and I was like, I'll save and buy it at Stories just to support the store I usually go to. And they were already sold out. And one of the operators was mad a little bit. He's like, man, I hate when DC does this. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, they said they weren't doing a reprint, and now they just sent out an email saying they're going to do one, and on top of that, it doubles the price on the reprint.
Wow.
And I was luckily able to get my hands on a copy, but I don't have a regular copy. I have a variant copy, and I had to shell out $8 for it, because my copy, the cover's different than the one that came out in the cover with the lightning and people pointing at the big lightning bolt.
Well, as far as that, since, you've given it an 8, and you're kind of like feeling that first issue of the Rebirth, or the, the introduction to the whole, kind of like new continuity, do you have any speculation for us about, some important characters? I mean, besides our big three, but does it look like any, there's any speculation for any characters that might be stand out besides your basic, our big three in the DC universe?
Well, one, I always was a Wally West fan. So once they brought Barry back, they kept them both around. But then they did the Flashpoint, and he hadn't been seen since Flashpoint. And that kind of disheartened me because I grew up on Wally West. Because Barry had been gone since 1985, 86, whenever Crisis was gone. So to have Wally back is cool, but at the same time, now it sounds like it's two Wallys.
Yeah.
And now they made it just so where it's not like it's an alternate Wally. They're related somehow. And now all of a sudden they're saying he had a aunt, another uncle, and he had a kid, I guess an interracial kid, because you know Wally West is white. And now he has, a black Wally and white Wally. I don't have a problem with it, but I kind of have a problem with it. Like, they just randomly came up with this all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So I want to see how that's going to...
Well, they do have, how Flash is, man. Flash is tangled, to say the least. Like, the Flash has always been, you read Flash hardcore, so you know how, convoluted the Flash is.
I don't think it was too convoluted, because when Mark Waid got there...
Really?
When Mark Waid... because I read it, Mark Waid set up a certain baseline for the Flash, and it was Wally. So they tried to bring Barry back. The only thing they did was when they had the return of the Barry Allen story, you found out that it was Professor Zoom, and that was his first time he went back in time because he was so obsessed with the Flash in the future. He went back in time to meet Barry, and he looked just like him. But when he made it through time, he forgot that he was Professor Zoom, was Gabriel and Dawn, just before he became Professor Zoom. But he thought he was Barry. But then they found out he was really Dawn. And when he found that out, that's when he got angered for the Flash, because he found out that he was destined to become Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash. And Wally triumphed and beat him and stuff. So, from my reading of Flash, from the mid-90s up until Flashpoint, it was pretty fleshed out. And then Jeff Jones got on there around about 2004, 2003-ish. He just added to it, but he didn't make things more confusing. He enhanced it. So from my perspective, things were convoluted. A convoluted character is like Donna Troy or Doom Patrol or the Hawkman and Hawkwoman. They or the Legion of superheroes. They have retconned them multiple times within the same universe. Flash has been the same.
All right, I'll give you that.
So another one is, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Batman with this letter. The Superman from 52 just died, and they had a storyline about that. But then you got the pre-52 Superman that we knew since Crisis of Infinite Earths. He is around, so I'm trying to figure out how they're going to reintegrate him back into things, because they had I don't know if it's a miniseries, they had a comic book called Lois and Clark, and it showed him and Lois and their child hiding in the new 52 universe, and him assisting in the background, and he had grown a beard and everything. So now with the 52 universe, Superman gone, I guess he has to take the place, and it establishes that his son has power. So I guess he's going to be the new Superboy. There's so much going on. It sounds like to me that they're just interweaving all of the universes into one. So Vertigo, Watchmen, DC, they're bringing the original universe back, it sounds like, but then they're interweaving everything into one. They're melding it, blending it into one. So they were showing John Constantine, the Swamp Man, and Swamp Thing, and usually they're separate most of the time, And Watchmen was its own universe. But now it sounds like they're the Warner Brothers DC umbrella is getting melded together in one big comic book melting pot.
All right, well, man, thanks for hitting us up with all the knowledge, because I definitely wanted to catch up and try to figure out what the basis of this whole DC Rebirth thing is, because like, I'm not collecting as hard as I used to back in the day. So now I just pick up a trade here and there. So like to say thanks. Also, if you could let people know where they can find you at.
You can find me at WRR.org, Richmond Independent Radio. I help produce and edit a show called Lightly on the Ground Radio that premieres at 12 noon on Wednesdays Eastern Standard Time. So you can find me there. And I'm also trying to work on my own show and some other things. But as I get more of my stuff together, I'll have a more viable outlet for you to reach me.
All right, word. Now, any shout-outs?
Only shout-outs I have really is, the little kid, OneYoungsta, Chopping Up Geek, like I said, WRR Radio, all the comic book shops in Richmond, Peruse, Stories, Velocity Comics, Nostalgia Plus, Dave's Comics, and that's about it.
All right, word. I'll give a quick shout out to the Comic Bug, my boy Isaac the Dude, movie reviews, and I'm gonna keep it short after that. Besides that, the Atomic Podcast and the Two Brandons Podcast. Besides that, of course, we want to say thank y'all for special edition of Respond React, and of course, stay real, stay strong, and peace.